Welcome to What Self-Care Looks Like. I'm your host, Brittany Elliott. It may be hard to hear, but self-care is not spa days, a weekend getaway, or brunch with your bestie. True self-care is the practice of protecting your well-being and happiness, and it lives within your daily routine. I'm a self-care and mom life coach here to help you prioritize your needs and practice self-care in a meaningful way so you can reclaim joy in your motherhood experience. Let's get back to you. Hello and welcome back to What Self-Care Looks Like. I am Brittany Elliott, the host of this show, and I am the author of the book, What Self-Care Looks Like. And my mission is to help moms rediscover their identity and reclaim joy in their motherhood experience. And this season, if you happen to be new, the breakdown is I'm going through the book chapter by chapter, not reading you the book, but expanding on some of the topics that I bring up in the book. So make sure you grab your copy of What Self-Care Looks Like. It's linked in the episode description, or you can go straight to whatselfcarelooks.like.com or the main company website, which is backtoyouin5.com. So we're in episode 6 of the season, which aligns with the 6th chapter of the book. So we are finally to the point where we're talking about self-care, which you may be finding quite interesting with the book being titled What Does Self-Care Looks Like? And it takes us 6 chapters to get to the nuts and bolts of it. But self-care really is a slow and steady build because it is a lifestyle. I even write in the book that self-care is a lifestyle. It doesn't just live in one activity. Self-care should influence how you approach your life every day. And so addressing how we do in the first few chapters of how motherhood makes you feel, when will you feel yourself again, analyzing your expectations versus the actual reality of your motherhood experience. All of that is important as your early steps in this process. Otherwise, on this journey of rediscovering your identity and reclaiming joy, you're not going to get there because you're just going to keep throwing self-care activities at it, and it's not going to work. It's not going to be as beneficial as you would like it to be because you're using it as a self-soothing activity instead of a self-care activity. And self-soothing is more reactive. So you're having a bad day, a bad week, a bad time, a bad moment. You're doing something to make yourself feel better about that one thing, where self-care is proactive. It is the daily practice of protecting your well-being and happiness and doing activities that align with that and that feel good specifically to you. And the way to find activities that are going to feel good to you is to really prioritize your overall wellness. And there are 5 wellness points that make us feel the most whole as mothers. We have social wellness, physical wellness, spiritual wellness, emotional wellness, and intellectual wellness. They all work together to help us feel the most whole as the women that we are so that we can feel the most whole in our motherhood experience. And a lot of times we dive headfirst into these activities, which sure make us feel good in the moment, but they're not really doing anything to long term protect our well being and happiness. For example, I often say self care is not brunch with the girls, it's not a mani pedi, it's not that weekend trip to the beach. These are really great activities. Some of them are maintenance, like getting your hair done and your nails done. Some of that is just a simple upkeep. And having a getaway really does feel good while you're there. And then you come home to perhaps the source of your stress and you're having a hard time settling back in, or you trying to find another opportunity to get away from it. And really, you coming home should be a sanctuary type of space, and you should be able to build a lot of your self-care foundation within your home. I will speak from my own experience. One thing that the lockdown with COVID really taught me in the pandemic was there could be at any point where you are just stuck at home. And so you really have to have a really strong foundation in your home that happiness lives there. Protecting your well-being and happiness needs to live in your home. There needs to be spaces within your home where you can go to and say, this is my space, my time to be uninterrupted. And everyone should have that space. Everyone in your home should have that. But the challenges that women face, as often being the primary caregiver, does create more of a need for you to have that space and to be creating that time. So I will break down each of those wellness points and define them today. And I'll talk about a few activities that you can do. I have a lot of podcast episodes about this concept and self-care, what self-care looks like, how it can look for you. And again, I go into it in the book as well. So if today seems like I'm painting it with a very broad stroke, that is intentional. I am inviting you to listen to other episodes, connect with me directly, because I do still offer one-on-one coaching. Even though I am in an MBA program and have a lot going on, I still have some one-on-one coaching capacity. If you're like, hey, Brittany, look, this is my situation. These are my likes. These are things that I don't like, etc. Let's sit down. Can you help me build a plan? And absolutely happy to do so. Let me grab this and we'll get into these definitions. Hey, it's Brittany here, your host of the show, and I'd like to invite you to grab your copy of my book, What Self-Care Looks Like. It's the roadmap for working moms who want to prioritize their self-care and rediscover the joy in their motherhood experience. It's a must-read for any mom who has felt lost, unseen, or unsure along her motherhood journey. Buy it today at www.whatselfcarelooks.com. So social wellness is the ability to create, maintain, and promote good relationships with others. Social wellness is an important part of your overall wellness. However, you have to be mindful that sometimes your social battery is depleted. So to add yet another social wellness activity in the name of self-care, it's not going to work. So if your social wellness battery is depleted, and then you decide, oh, I'm going to go meet up with the girls for brunch. And then you get home and you're like, I'm exhausted from that. That wasn't fun. That's going to be a counterproductive activity to do. On the other hand, if you know that you get energy from being around your friends and having those big belly laughs, then you need to create ways to do that more often, not just in the setting of y'all going out to lunch, but having people just stop by, calling, doing, FaceTime. It can be sending each other funny memes. Just creating ways to maintain that social interaction is super important. And don't leave out your spouse and your children. There are situations where your social wellness will need to be fueled by interacting and engaging with the people in your home. Physical wellness promotes proper care of your body for optimal health and functioning. So, physical wellness, when it comes to self care activities overall, are the ones that are most visible to us, the ones we're most familiar with. So, it's staying hydrated and drinking your water, it's eating properly, and it's working out. If you are watching this episode, you can see in the corner, I have a couple of my workout things there. I have, what is it? 2 sets of weights, and I have my stepper over there. And I have built a physical wellness routine that really I do 99% of my working out I do at home. Occasionally, I will go to the gym with my husband. My husband prefers the gym, and I prefer to spend time with him. So we do that at the gym. But when I'm waking up early in the morning to have my own time with my physical wellness routine, it is just me working out, or if I do it after work, my daughter joins in and she'll work out with me, but it's a very home-based physical wellness routine. Spiritual wellness is being connected to something greater than yourself. It's your values, your belief system, your morals. If you are feeling disconnected from your purpose, you are going to have a hard time feeling whole and protecting your well-being and happiness if you are looking around your home and looking at your kids, looking at your family and thinking, what is all this for? This is not worth all the challenge that it is. And that could be a spiritual wellness need that need would require a spiritual wellness activity. So you going and getting brunch with the girls, which that's just the example that I keep going back to. There's nothing wrong with a brunch with the girls, but it would not actually be in alignment with a spiritual wellness need if that's where you are depleted. Emotional wellness is the ability to experience, manage, and express feelings appropriately. I talk a lot about journaling because journaling is a great way to reveal the things that you need emotionally when you're having reflective conversations with yourself. So one of the journals that I sell through Back to 5, it's a daily journal that has actual prompts for morning and evening to guide you through the conversation that you're having internally. And there's also free writing space. So some mornings I get up and I maybe don't have anything specific to um, kind of like unfold, I guess, since I can't think of the word. Like not a long story to tell, but it's nice to be able to ask myself, how do I feel right now? What am I looking forward to as I go through this day? That is very helpful. And your intellectual wellness is recognizing your creative abilities and finding ways to expand knowledge and skills. So if you're someone who used to be very artistic, used to be a dancer, used to draw, used to write, and in your motherhood experience, you haven't been able to do that as much, you're probably feeling depleted in that. And you need more of that in your life. So if you're going to brunch with the friends and there's no type of crafting involved in that experience, you're not going to feel replenished. Whereas if you just grabbed a coloring book in the corner at home for 10 to 15 minutes and colored, or you drew, or you had time to write, that would give you that boost that you need to protect your well-being and happiness. And again, self-care, it's a proactive effort that we're doing. It's a lifestyle. So you know that every day you're going to have an activity that's doing something that pours back into you. So me writing this book, I like writing. I've always been a writer, so it didn't feel like this huge task. All I needed was the time to sit down and write, and I created time every week to sit down and write, and it just felt good for me to be writing. This podcast is in a creative outlet for me as well. Just having a business, while I thought in the beginning my focus was really, okay, how can I supplement my income? What is it that I like to do to be able to do that? That's really how it started. It warped into just me really doing it because I value and I really feel good to be able to show up, whether it's just you listening to me or hundreds of people listening to me, which is the grand goal. I would love every mother to listen to what I have to say because I think that I am putting things in a way that are very actionable, but I know that I'm not everybody's cup of tea. But no matter who I'm talking to, this feels good to my intellectual wellness to be able to form these strategies that have helped me and many of the other women who I've worked with over the years to show up better and to reclaim joy in their motherhood experience and to rediscover their identities and not feel the struggle of motherhood or the strain and the challenge. So that falls into that bucket for me. Um, I wanted to make a point about just how self care really helps you feel more balanced in the motherhood experience, at least for me. This morning, I posted online basically about how it was not even 9 a.m. yet, and I had accomplished so many things today. I put a little laundry in the dryer, made breakfast for myself and my daughter. And by make breakfast this time around, it was she had cereal, I had bagels, I had made coffee, we had got dressed. Obviously, dropped her off to her musical theater class. I had started writing a paper for one of my projects that's coming up and due. Um, and I had already placed my grocery order for the day. It was already done. And I had already, planned out what meals I'm going to be having for the upcoming week. I didn't used to be that organized, that motivated in the morning to get things like that done, or I wouldn't feel happy about it before in the earlier stages of my motherhood experience. That type of work, the visible labor of it all and the invisible labor of it, just the planning, the anticipating and all that was taking me out in the first 1 to 2 years of motherhood. And Back to You in Five was really born from that. Like, I just was thinking there has to be a better way. Like, motherhood can't be supposed to feel like this. And so Back to You in Five was built around these five wellness points: social wellness, physical wellness, spiritual wellness, emotional wellness, and intellectual wellness. Me putting together that it's not just one thing or one reason for this whole idea of self-care, and having the holistic approach that self-care is a daily practice of protecting your well-being and happiness, and aligning activities with the wellness point that is the most depleted. And the invisible labor of it all, or as we call it, the mental load, is one thing that over the years of me getting, let's say, better and better in my role of managing motherhood, is the thing that women are getting caught up on and pinned on. So now I offer this, it's like 2 minutes, maybe even less, a little quiz that you can take to rate where you are with your invisible load. Is it light? Is it a moderate load? Or is it a heavy load? And wherever you land, what you need to do from there. So I'm going to drop the link to that as well in the show notes, but you can also get that at backtune5.com/mom stuff. Because I'm just trying to keep giving you stuff for you. One final note that I want to mention is that self care is personal, so it's going to look different for everybody. If you and I both need to improve our social wellness, you may want to have brunch with your friends to do that, or host something at your house to be social with people. Whereas I may just want to take a walk with friends, or maybe I want to go to the gym with my husband. So it's not about which activities are right and wrong, because there really is not an answer to that as long as you are doing self care and not doing self soothing. It's really about making sure you're identifying which one of your wellness points needs addressed in that moment. In the beginning of my self care journey, it was mostly about my emotional wellness. And that's why I was doing so much journaling. And it was my emotional wellness and it was my physical wellness, and getting those things together and in line. Then it trickled into my spiritual wellness, realigning myself with my values, my morals, my beliefs. And then my social wellness was never really, I never got too disconnected from that, but I started being more intentional about the types of social wellness activities I wanted to do. I started building out my intellectual wellness, and now I can choose an activity and be able to, I call it maximizing your overall wellness, where I can do one activity that's improving multiple wellness points. So, for example, if I take a walk outside with friends, I'm impacting my social wellness, physical wellness, spiritual wellness. Um, And then if we decide to play a game or do trivia while we're on that walk, now it's my intellectual wellness. And depending on what type of conversation comes up, it could also impact my emotional wellness. And, picking a friend to walk with every day, even if it's at the office, just to, decompress a little bit, or taking the scenic route home and, calling a friend while you drive home, that's how you need to reframe your mind around self care activities. The activities aren't as big as you think, it's not as grand. It is simpler than that. It is sometimes taking that scenic route home. It's planning your meals in advance. It's using the energy that you have in real time. It's being proactive about your needs. It's not falling into doom scrolling. It's doing your detoxes from social media. It's reading more. It's engaging in critical thinking activities. Those are the things that are going to make you feel more like you, the things that are going to connect you to the vibrant woman you were before you became a mother, and you trying to regain pieces of that. In the evolution of you into motherhood, there are still things that are relevant to you, relevant to your personality. And the more you feel that you need to sacrifice or be a martyr for the sake of motherhood, the more of that you are going to lose. So self-care, in the end, it's going to bring you back to you, and rediscovering your identity is going to be the thing that helps you reclaim joy in the motherhood experience. So I hope that this was helpful. Next week, we're going to wrap things up with chapter 7, and we're going to be talking about what type of mother you are. So in the meantime, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Until next time, I'll talk to you very, very soon. Thanks for listening to this episode. I hope you learned at least one thing you can implement into your daily routine. To connect with me, follow at Back to You in 5 on Instagram. If you're feeling generous, share this episode with a mom you know and subscribe to the show. I appreciate your support. Remember, motherhood is a journey, not a destination. Grow through it and enjoy the view.